Starting like now?
Yep, now.
Hey everybody, this is Pastor Chad coming at you from the Parsonage Kitchen here at Howell, Michigan. Holy Week is coming up, and we are not going to be meeting together, unfortunately, because of the whole coronavirus thing. One of the things we do when we celebrate Holy Week is we share communion together, and I'm going to show you how to make your own communion bread. I have never made bread before. I've never made communion bread before. I want you to know how easy it is. You can't even hardly screw it up. Can't taste any worse than those little wafers we get anyway. Now, here is the ingredients. We'll do 1 cup of flour. We're going to put that in. However much this is of salt. It says half teaspoon, but I didn't fill it up all the way. So like 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Mix that in a little bit. You want 1/2 cup of water.
That's good.
And then you just mix it up. I mix it up with a fork so I don't get my digits mussy. I don't know if this is technically called kneading yet.
No.
No, it's not kneading yet. This is not enough water. While we're making this here, I thought I'd just share with you why we do communion this way. I put in way too much water. Boy, I messed this up. The communion supper, we call it Last Supper. Jesus and his disciples gathered together and celebrated the feast of Passover. We're reenacting that Last Supper that Jesus did. Palm Sunday is coming up. That's this Sunday. That's the Sunday in which Jesus entered into Jerusalem the final time. That was the time of the Passover, and Passover was a week-long celebration. So they would have started celebrating Sunday, which is going to be this Sunday. Except it was 2,000 years ago. This is kind of okay. What do you think? More flour?
I never made this kind of bread before. Like normal bread, you're going to want it a lot thicker than that.
Passover started way back with Moses and the Israelites in the Old Testament. You remember Charlton Heston, the movie and all that? The very last plague was the plague of the firstborn. The angel passed over these houses that had the lamb's blood on the door, and inside the Israelites were kind of huddled up in their homes. Kind of like how we are now. We're huddled up in our homes. Ever since that day, the Jewish people celebrate the Passover. It's because the angel of death passed over their houses. When you have Passover bread, they have what they call unleavened bread. Leaven is just a rising agent, yeast or even like a baking soda. They would clear that all out of their house and make the bread for the Passover bread. Because God said, I'm bringing you out of Egypt. You're supposed to get the yeast out of your stuff. I don't know exactly the connection there. Is this too goopy?
You shouldn't, okay.
What?
I don't think you should be kneading it.
Is it too goopy?
Well, what's the recipe say?
I don't know. I didn't even look up a recipe when I did this.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to start kneading it. Kneading starts with a K. I know that. I don't know anything else. This is going to be the world's worst communion bread, but it's starting to shape up. So we're going to get a little ball. So I'm going to roll this out. Put some flour down here. Normally you have clean hands, but mine are...
You probably should have had flour in your hands first.
Flour in my hands?
On your hands before the dough. That's what I know from being a baker.
Oh, you're a baker? Why am I doing this?
I don't know. I work
Let's
at it.
gather
It's
together.
fine.
We're going to knead it together? It's too goopy. What did I do? Isn't it? Aren't you working it? Don't you work the dough?
You got...
This doesn't look like it's workable. Let's get more flour. It's all going to work out in the end. Remember I said I put way too much water? I put in way too much water. Here, get it off my dough.
What?
Don't
show the dough.
People are going to get upset. Boy, this is so goopy. This turned out to be a disaster. As the disciples are coming into Jerusalem with Jesus, they're celebrating the Passover. They're celebrating the time when God saved them out of slavery. Actually, I think you're supposed to knead it a lot. Oh, don't show it. Don't show it. I'm just pretending like it's all going to plan, but it's really not. So, as Jesus took the bread, the unleavened bread, he broke it, passed it to his disciples, and said, "This is my body. Take and eat this in remembrance of me."
Oh, stop.
And then he took the cup, and it would have been probably wine, and he passed the cup, said, "This is my blood, which is given for you." So he's taking that Passover meal, and he's reinstituting it for his followers. Let me wash my hands.
And then put flour in your hands before you touch it again.
Okay. So now I'm going to start rolling it. Here's a little pro tip for you guys. Put flour on the rolling pin. We just need a little ball, so it's going to be flat. You know how our communion wafers are like those little crackers? Here, don't show this, because again, the people that actually know how to do this will get so upset with me. I'm going to just flatten this out into a big round disc. How do people bake? How do people do this? This is way harder than it looks. But it's not. You can do this at home. So they have the Passover meal. It says, "This is my body." As he passes the cup, he says, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood." He's taking the old covenant of Moses and he's saying, "Do this in remembrance of me." So that's what we do. That's why we do communion. This is a celebration of Jesus's Passover meal with his followers. Now, I'm going to turn on the stove. I'm just going to put it right on the stove top. Can you still see me back there?
Do you want me to come over?
Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil. You don't have to do this part. And then I got it on high. I'm just going to heat it up. What happens when we do communion? That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. The Roman Catholic Church has a very strange idea. Sorry for all Roman Catholics watching. They believe that the bread and the wine that they drink becomes the actual body, like the actual body and the actual blood of Jesus. Most churches besides the Catholic Church, in fact I think almost all churches besides the Catholic Church, don't think that's what's happening. We believe that Jesus is with us when we take it together. By taking communion together, we are participating in God's grace. It's a way for God to bless us in our lives. And that's one of the reasons I like it so much. Here's another trick. You take a little water, and if it sizzles, then it's ready. It's sizzling. All right, let's try it. So there's my, you can show the bread. We're just going to cook it for a couple seconds on each side. Let's see how it looks. Ooh, it looks good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me flip this.
Oh, it looks good. Oh, snap! I made a pancake.
As we take communion together, the important part is we're doing it together and we're doing it in remembrance of Him. This isn't something you just do by yourself. It's something that the church does together.
Please.
This is not looking too bad. It looks pretty bad. So as we take this together on Sunday, if you want to make your own, ooh, look at that. If you want to make your own,
Wow.
certainly you could, you got to be at least as good as I am to make it. And then when we do it together on Sunday, when we take communion together, you can break your own bread. I do have some grapes, so maybe, no, I'm not going to make grape juice. Now I'm going to test it out and see. I mean, it's unleavened bread. It's nothing fancy. It does kind of taste like a pancake.
Is it cooked on the inside?
Yeah, nice and cooked.
There you go.
All right. Well, we'll see you Sunday. If you want to make your own communion bread, you can do that. Or I will be out in front of the church on Saturday, which is tomorrow, at noon, and handing out little communion packets if you'd like to pick those up tomorrow. But you can't do any worse than what I did. Okay, we'll see you then. God bless.